There was once a witch named Rebecca. She lived, and honestly, the time had forgotten her. She was from a dark bloodline, but she had good in her. She was always conflicted. Rebecca was a witch of high standards, higher than any witch could strive to be, but she always felt like she just didn't belong. Rebecca was a good person, but then at the same time, she didn't care if anybody lived. She hated that fact that their people were mean. She hated the fact that people committed sins all the time that were supposed to be good people. She lost her faith in people. So she had a love hate relationship with God almost every day. But God wanted her alive, so no matter how sick she got, no matter what situation she got into, she always lived. So the story begins with Rebecca. She ended up getting with a white lighter. It wasn't by any in particular circumstance. He just came down to save her. He was an angel sent by God. They got along, and he was in tune with her darkness, and he knew how her darkness tortured her. So he tried to help her. And there was times where if she died, she did not care. But he always saved her no matter what. But Rebecca continued to try to help the ones that she thought was worthy because she had powers. And she could, but she wasn't going to help people that wasn't willing to help others people. And honestly, it's not a bad policy. Why would you help somebody that doesn't care about anybody? So Rebecca, that's how her conflict always began and ended at the end of each day. So she came across a small boy that she felt horrible about. He always never had nothing to eat or anything, and she wanted to know why. So she had an intellect, a witch intellect of very high standard. So they became fast friends. And his name was Xavier. Xavier was a nice kid, and she started with the parents. And she would always try to help Xavier any which way she could. She always believed in helping the innocent. So our story begins when she meets a young boy and he's always hungry. And that includes part one. All right, when Xavier came home from school, Rebecca did her little musing and investigating, and she found out that his parents was on drugs. And she didn't, I mean, honestly, her dark side would say it was their fault, but she didn't know. So she did a little more digging, and as she did more digging, she thought maybe she should do something to help. So, ignoring her dark side, she talked to the parents, and the mother ended up going to drug rehab, and the father, he really wasn't on anything hard, but he went ahead and got a job and took care of Xavier. And the mother came out of drug rehab, And she was a little better of a person. God bless. And Rebecca was glad that there was some hope in somebody in the world. And Xavier was doing a lot better in school. And as the story ends, Rebecca the witch found purpose for the day. And she tried, and she did do one good thing, but every day was different for her because when you help somebody and they move on with their life, sometimes you don't talk to them for a long while. And I guess that's the way things go when you help them and they move on with their life. They just reconnect you and say thank you later on. So this story, it had a good ending.